Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to another edition of Football Theory. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis, pleased to be joined by the coach, former high school football coach at Belton, Rotan, Capel, Burnett. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coached there, multiple stints. Also was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head coaches, and now you can catch his work at shipleyranches.com. It's our coach, Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, all good. It's all good, man. Just thankful we still playing, and
you right.
thankful we I mean, there is no easy road to the championship. Never has been, never will be, but it's pretty favorable if you ask me.
I like it too. I like the first matchup in the playoff against Clemson. I think Texas. Well, I don't want to be cocky and arrogant. I think Texas is a better team. I think most people would agree with that. Just a better team overall than Clemson. But they do got a quarterback who's got some moxie. A lot of Longhorn fans know him very well. Cade Klubnik. I'm sure he's got a chip, maybe a boulder on his shoulder, because I don't know for a fact that he wanted to go to Texas. But hard to be the starting quarterback at Westlake in the backyard of the University of Texas and not want to be a Texas Longhorn at one point. And of course, Sark and Quinn Ewers ended up being the connection. And Cade Klubnik went to Clemson. And apparently he was really happy with his decision. Loves that Clemson program, having his best season yet. So it'll be, I think, interesting considering that connection and Andrew Mukuba connection. Andrew Mukuba, once there a proud Clemson Tiger, now a proud lifetime Longhorn, and he'll be going up against his old team too. So we got some storylines, and of course, we've got time to get to that. Matter of fact, the next football theory, I can tell you right now, will probably be breaking down, all right, Texas, Clemson, and breaking down that matchup and getting coaches' thoughts. But this week, Coach, we got to talk about something. I brought it up after the Kentucky game, and I was like, that's kind of strange. And then brought it up again after the after the A&M game. And now I'm starting to think that this is something that could potentially hold Texas back from winning a national title. And Texas is a good team that doesn't have a lot of flaws. They don't match up well with Georgia. We know that. They don't have a lot of flaws. We haven't had a lot to complain about with this team because they're so well built, so well constructed, and they play so well. They got 2 losses on the season, guys, with 11 wins. Right? I played on some 11-win teams. I don't know if they were as good as this team. And this is a damn good team, and they're going to win even more games, in my opinion. The third quarter, Coach, and I got some numbers here that are also pretty troubling. The third quarter has become really problematic for Texas, and I don't know why. And we'll get into it. And I think kind of this football theory, I want to get your thoughts because you're a coach. You've been in those locker rooms making adjustments at halftime, and I want to get your thoughts about it. So that's what we'll discuss on the show. Before we do, let's thank our sponsor for football theory, which is the Carrot Concierge. We appreciate Jody and her team for sponsoring our team. If you're looking for the right gift for that woman in your life, make sure you check out thecarrotconcierge.com. Jody Reynolds is a personal jeweler. She is the Carrot Concierge with an office right there in Westlake. Jody focuses on helping men purchase the special gift for that woman in their life. You can use the QR code that you're going to see right there on your screen here momentarily, or you can visit her on Instagram or her website, thecarrotconcierge.com. Jody prides herself in providing personal service. She takes the extra steps to make sure your lady gets exactly what she wants, and because she doesn't have the overhead of a storefront, there's that QR code I was telling you about. She doesn't have the overhead of a storefront. She often can get the highest quality inventory at the lowest possible prices, as much as 30% less than what you'd see at a jewelry store. You don't have to tell your woman that you got the great deal on it, but trust me, she will be happy if you go visit the Carrot Concierge. You got the holiday season coming up, the gift giving season, and trust me, folks, the Carrot Concierge can be a perfect place for you to find the perfect gift for that special person in your life. If you're looking for something special, birthdays, anniversaries, but of course, Christmas coming right around the corner, Joni has a variety of tennis bracelets, rings, necklaces, and more, all beautiful jewelry, all personalized for you and yours. Check out thecarrotconcierge.com. Visit our website or give her a call or text her, and she'll take care of you. And so you can take care of that very special person in your life. Thank you very much to Jody, thecarrotconcierge.com, for sponsoring the show today, Football Theory. Really appreciate it. It's some beautiful stuff right there. I'm telling you, guys, don't wait till the last minute. I'm trying to tell you, don't procrastinate. Christmas is crazy. All right, it's wild. Trust me, just go visit thecarrotconcierge.com. She'll think you put a lot of thought into it, which you did, but you just heard it here, and Jody took care of you. There you go. All right, Coach, let's get to the third quarters of the last 4 games for Texas, because it actually started in the Arkansas game. And hey, if something happened, one time something being an issue is, that's just an outlier. 2 times, maybe coincidence. 3 times is a bit of a pattern, 4 times a trend, and now we're working on a trend here in the last 4 games in the third quarter for Texas. They've been outscored 31-3. They are in the last 3 weeks. They're tied for last in the FBS in third quarter scoring, but you got to do any math there. They haven't scored a point in the third quarter, so of course they're last in scoring in the third quarter in the last 3 weeks. And only 2 teams have scored fewer points in the third quarter over the last 4 games than the Longhorns. Now, this is coming out of halftime. So, there are usually adjustments being made. I do remember Peyton Manning once saying something that always stuck in my brain. Coach said, and I want to get your thoughts on this actually, that basically halftime adjustments are overrated. Most overrated thing out there is like, man, it's so overrated. We ain't really adjusting much. He said it's really overrated. Now, that's Peyton Manning. That's one of the greatest minds in the history of football. I'll ask you the question. Are halftime adjustments overrated?
I think they can be. I think, you've got grease boards and chalkboards, whatever, on the sideline.
Yeah. Yep.
You can get your group together. The halftime adjustments, those are kind of for high school football teams where guys are playing both ways. I'm not saying you don't make adjustments. You make adjustments. It's a time for you to sit and look at your players one-on-one in the face and show me exactly where this guy's lined up. Is he on this shade? Is he this shade? What's the weight on his hands? I mean, you can talk about some things and try to get some things to help out. But, as far as adjustments, if a coach can't make an adjustment on the fly on the sideline, I don't know how he's going to make one at halftime once he's had some time to think about it,
Yeah.
So I would tend to agree with that. I hated halftime. High school halftimes especially are the worst.
Why?
I mean, it lasts forever. Forever.
Were you winning most of your games though, Coach, at halftime?
Yeah, yes, we were, but still, it's that it doesn't matter if you're winning or losing. You want to let's get out there and keep going. Yeah, use a restroom, get a break, get a drink. But when you got 2 high school bands out there marching, and then you got to get them on the field, and you got to get them off the field, and the field cleared, and all that.
Yeah.
College halftime's a lot better because there's money involved because you got 3 hours or whatever on primetime network. Yeah, we got to get more games in. Time. Yeah. And so college is not bad. High school goes on forever. I don't even know how I got off on that.
No, that's a good point. I've covered high school football. You're right. It's like man, it's sitting out here forever because everybody wants to see their kids get their moment, band, all that kind of stuff, and the twirl team and all that.
And then you got to come out and you got to warm up again before you go back out and play the second half. But anyway, I don't know that we ever made. I mean, it's like I said, it's a best time for you to sit down without all the noise and drama and hoopla and look at guys in the eyes and say, what about this? What about this? But I don't know that I can point to a single time where all of a sudden a lightning bolt came out of the sky and hit us in the head at halftime. We got real smart and made an adjustment,
Yeah, no, you're right. I now that I'm thinking about it too, I can't remember many occasions where you're right. The coach got the call from on high, right? This epiphany. This is it.
Were you in there, Coach? Were you in there when Coach Boone went off on the?
No, I see the video though, Coach, where he hit the
yeah.
To do your job. That's what he says, right? Then he yelled. I think he might have dropped something, expletive in there too.
Yeah, he did.
Do your job. And that's basically what you're trying to do. It's like, God, just do your damn job. All right. Yeah. You're not focused. You missed this block. You missed this tackle. That's what we're really focusing on, is trying to get reset if you're struggling at halftime or something like that. You're probably right, because if you're ahead at halftime, you hate halftime. You're like, no, we're losing momentum. What we're doing is working. We just want to keep doing it.
Yeah, but here's a situation that happens to football teams, and it's happened to us, but it's manifested itself in different ways. Yes. For example, we got in that red zone thing, last year. It was a albatross around our neck. We couldn't get rid of it. The more we tried to be more efficient in the red zone, the worse we got. And the same with our secondary. It just seemed like we just, we can't. We start slow. For whatever reason, you have teams that they start slow or they don't finish games, or whatever. Who knows what it is, that everything that comes together to make that happen. But for whatever reason, it's almost like catching a germ or a bug. You're not sure where you got it, where it came from. But right now, we got the third quarter can't do crap. Germs,
third
disease,
quarter bug, huh?
Yeah, we got that third quarter bug, and so
I like that, Coach. I like that.
I don't know how you get rid of it, but it's not the same bug as a slow starter, and it's
Or
not the same bug.
bug.
It's not been, but it's a third quarter coming out second half. I think it's focus and attention. I don't know how teams fall in those traps. Certainly, play calling has something to do with it, I think. So it's just something that's come together, and where everybody is kind of fighting off this bug together, trying to figure out how we're going to be more productive in the third quarter.
Coach, I love that because the reason I love your analogy about it being a bug is because they haven't had it all year. They just got it. They just got it in like the last month. And it's like, what happened? Something happened. And I love your comparison too, because I have actually in my notes. So we're thinking the same. It does remind me of the red zone issues last year because I can't explain it. It doesn't really make sense. All the weapons you had last year, the big offensive line, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, J.T. Sanders, Jay Brooks. You had so many. It's like there's no real reason for you to be in that 120th in touchdown percentage in red zone. And my theory was that it was a Bijan Rojo hangover. I will say Sark essentially implied that was the case too. I didn't get used to play calling without those two monsters in the backfield. I have no theory about what's going on in the fourth quarter with Texas. I will say, like you said, it's something different though every time. In the third quarter, against Kentucky, it was just turnovers, right? In the third quarter. Against A&M, it was red zone turnovers specifically. I would say against Arkansas, maybe a run game because you average just in 4 yards per carry, so your run game overall was ineffective. Versus Georgia, missed field goals, that doesn't help, but also your run game being ineffective. It seems to be something a little different every time. And I went back and did some research to find out, third quarter scoring, how low is it? So right now, Texas is just overall this season averaging 6.3 points in the third quarter. That's 62nd in the country. But that is the lowest. It is the second lowest average quarter scoring for any quarter. All right, since Sark has been here, his lowest average scoring quarter. Scoring was 5.8 points per game, and that was in the fourth quarter of 2021. And you remember that, Coach. What was the big issue with Texas in the fourth quarter of 2021? They would give up double-digit leads.
Yeah,
because they couldn't necessarily score in the second half and the fourth quarter. So I wouldn't look at it this season. Texas in the first quarter, they're 14th overall in the country, scoring a little over 8 points per game. Second quarter scoring, they're 10th, a little over 11 points per game. Their fourth quarter scoring this year is also a little suspect, Coach. They're 59th in fourth quarter scoring, 67 and 59th in third and fourth quarter scoring. And in the last 3 games in fourth quarter scoring, they're 80th. The second half scoring is actually the bug you're talking about is now starting to leaking a little bit into the fourth quarter. Just throwing that out there. But you really your third quarter scoring has, I would say, it has decreased every season. In 2021, it was 8.9 points. You were top 15. In 2022, you went to 7.6 points. It was 27th. In 2023, you were 39th, and you were at 7.1 points per game. So coming out of halftime, your points per game has decreased every year. So those are kind of some of the metrics of it. I don't really know how you fix it, Coach. I love your description as a bug, and sometimes you just got to let a bug run its way through your system.
Run its course. Yeah.
Is that where we are? Do you think there's
I don't know. I wonder, though, also how many times, if you look at our rushing attempts percentage in the third quarter as compared to the first quarter, have more times than not, we're a passing first quarter team.
Yep.
There's some games we'll run 7-8 passes and not even run a single run, you know? And so, and then sometimes I know I found myself at halftime saying, we got to be able to run the ball. We got to come out and establish the run in the second half. That's what we do. And we just don't quite have that much octane in our offensive tank sometimes, to be able to do that. So I don't know if like I said, if it's more play calling philosophy in terms of I want to start fast in the game. In the second half, I want to control the ball. I want to be able to control the ball. I don't know.
Yeah.
I found myself getting in those mindsets before.
That sounds like Sark too, right? Sark talks about balance a lot, and you're right. You look up in some games, and the run to pass ratio is 60 something, a higher percent pass rate, and I can see Sark going there and looking at the numbers and going, oh yeah, we got to run the rock. Sorry, we got to run the ball a little bit more, guys. I could definitely see, and you're not necessarily an elite running team. You're a good running team, but you're not elite in that category. Also, one thing I was pointing out, I think Sark should play the hits more. I've said that before. I love Sark, but I don't think Sark likes leftovers. He doesn't play the hits a lot. I would love Sark, some of the stuff that works in the first half. And I know it's not that simple, but I'd love to see more of it, or kind of the same number of it in the second half of games. An obvious example, last game versus Georgia, your targets to motion so successful in the first half, averaging over 10 yards per attempt, targeting players in motion prior to the snap, at the time of the snap, and in the second half, only 3. Now, it was the highest amount of targets to motion that he's had in a game since he's been at Texas, but I would argue, why only 3 in the second half? Why not 7? Because it was working so well for you. As a matter of fact, 2 of those 3 were on the game-tying drive to send the game into overtime. So it was working really well versus Georgia. Their adjustments to motion was something that Sark could exploit, and yet didn't do it a lot in the second half. So there are things like that I think, like some of the stalk slants and some of the deception play designs that work really well versus Georgia to counter their aggression. I think he probably should add more of that baked into the game plan, but he had a lot of it in the game plan early on. I just would argue maybe in the second half there should be more of it. So my argument would be to Sark maybe be an extremist and play the hits about the things that worked in the second half compared to the first half. But like I said, we don't really know exactly. I don't think there's anybody that can pinpoint exactly what's going on. But I love what you said, Coach, about maybe leaning on the run game in the second half, and maybe that's just not a strength of yours. Can I ask you something else about the script before we end this thing, Coach? Sark has allegedly a 40 play script. How long were the scripts? How many plays were the scripts for you guys when you did a opening script? What was it?
Yeah, I never had more than 15 on there, but and I thought that was probably too many. But you can also have mini scripts within that, in terms of situation. Okay, if we want to try to run the clock, and then you've got other scripts for that. If just depending on what you're trying to do. But I just feel like that our play calling is much more intentional in the first quarter and the first half to a large extent because of that script than it is in the second half. In the second half, we just seem to be lost a little bit and just can't find our footing. Again, I wonder if that's relating to the intentionality of the play call starting the game as opposed to just shooting from the hip in the third quarter.
Yeah, I wonder if there's because let me ask you about this, because I would look at the first and second quarter average scoring for Texas over the last 4 years since Sark has been at Texas. First quarter and second quarter in 2021, you're 14th and 10th in the country. So you're top 15. Sorry, that's this year. I apologize. That's this year. You're top 15 in first and second quarter scoring. 2021, you were 8th and 19th. So you're top 20 in first and second, basically first half scoring. In 2022, you were 20th and 13th. So top 20 first half scoring. In 2023, you were 15th and 16th. So based on the script, which if it's a 40 play script, most of that is the script. And like you said, the intentional premeditation of those plays in the first half seemed to work really well for Texas. So game planning ain't an issue. You game plan as well as anybody. In terms of breaking down. Now, what we're talking about is when Sark is off the script, Sark the scripter, as opposed to Sark the play caller, who is just calling plays from his playbook and adjusting on the fly in the chess match. That seemed to be very different because your third and fourth, your second half scoring, or at least the ranking, 2021, your third, your 15th and 90th.
Yeah,
third and fourth quarter scoring.
I can see that. I can see that in him. I mean, it's crazy when you sit back and look at the fact that it's so almost bland. Our offense is almost bland in the third quarter. I mean, it just doesn't. You would think as many people as they have on staff, whether it's volunteers, graduate assistants, quality control, whatever, that they have gone through enough of these game plan meetings with Sark that they kind of know what he's thinking. That you couldn't have guys as you're going into halftime already have a group of those guys down there, not the actual coaches, but your support staff already putting together potential scripts based on what they've seen from you in the past and know how you like to do things. Coach, here's kind of a starting place for you scripting. This is what we feel like being with you 3 years now. We've been reading, knowing what you want to do to this defense. This, here's a quasi script for you to go to in the third quarter or something, just take it or leave it. But he does have some other stuff scripted. For example, you get in the red zone, you want to take a shot. You got a certain trick play, sending somebody up the backside, whatever. You got a trick play, whatever, in the red zone that you're going to, throw out there or something like that. You've got those shot plays in there that you can stick in at any time. But I think we may be on to something here, Rod. Do you want to set up the appointment with Sark, or you want me to?
I'm hoping somebody that knows Sark is also listening to
promise you, Sark.
But but like I said, that just means you're not perfect. But I think you're right, Coach. I think that would be a great. Okay, so either have somebody that really knows you, that's been with you a long time, so you're AJ Milwees and knows your offense, or you're Kyle Flood, right? Because Sark is calling the plays. And the head coach, it's a lot going on. You can't be, scripting up plays for the second half based on the circumstance and based on what you're noticing and observing during the game. So I love your idea about having somebody else come up with some ideas for you. Like, coach, this is somewhere to start, because this is what we saw that we can exploit in the second half. These are adjustments they made. Here are some countermeasures that we believe will work based on what your preferences are, because we know you really love that idea. And how about you flip it? Is it possible, since the script is the script for the most part, could somebody else call the script?
Yeah.
And while Sark observes a little bit, and then he's still on headset, he's still vetoing and making adjustments. But the script is also the script. They practice it all week long. Everybody knows the plays in the script. If you need to adjust based on a turnover or, like you said, situations, Sark can do that. But could Sark just observe early on while the script is called? It's 40 plays, and then he comes in like, oh, guys, I got some stuff ready to go, dialed up for the second half or the later part of the game. I don't know, just spitballing. I don't know. So
how about flipping it over in the second half? Flipping it over and running the same things to the opposite sides based on you at least being in the middle of the field. Wouldn't that be funny if somebody tracked it and said, oh, man, that coach was punking that other coach. He did exactly the same plays in the second half to the other side the whole game.
Oh, man, that would be great. Yeah, that's humiliated. That. All right, well, I will say this. One last little note. In 2023 was the closest Sark came to figuring it out. I'll give him a ton of credit. He was 15th in first quarter scoring, 16th in second quarter scoring, fourth quarter scoring. Because remember, in the fourth quarter was a big issue in 2021. They were 90th in fourth quarter scoring. And then in 2022, they were 62nd, and Sark figured it out. They were 15th in the country in fourth quarter scoring last season. And Sark said that was big. We had to learn how to close. Remember, they weren't closing. They had coffee's for closers, and they were drinking tea. There was no coffee, man, because they couldn't close out games. And that was big. Remember, Sark said we restructured the practices, we restructured our mentality, everything, play calling, strength and conditioning. Everything was geared toward closing in the fourth quarter. You get what you emphasize. And they did. They became a really great fourth quarter team. Top 15 in the country in fourth quarter scoring and making clutch plays, goal line stands in the fourth quarter, right? So I just think Sark's got to emphasize that coming out of half more. Sark seems to really solve problems they emphasize. Red zone last year, right? He solved it. Well, I know they had some red zone issues lately, but for the most part, early on, they solved the red zone issue. Sark seems to get what he emphasizes because I think he's a good coach. So he needs to emphasize coming out of the half with their hair on fire a little bit more. And I think he'll fix it. And will he fix it this season? I'm not sure. Will it hold them back from winning a national title? If they continue on this path, it will, in my opinion. You can't be this bad in the fourth. You can't be the worst third quarter team in college football, which is basically kind of where they're bordering on right now. In terms of offense, by the way. Offense.
Right.
So, all right, there you go. Let's thank our sponsor one more time before we get out of here. The Carrot Concierge. Thank you very much to Jody and her team for sponsoring our team. If you're looking for the right gift for the woman in your life, make sure you check out thecarrotconcierge.com. Jody Reynolds is a personal jeweler. She is the Carrot Concierge with an office right there in Westlake. Jody focuses on helping men purchase the special gift for that woman in your life. You can use the QR code on the screen to see even more, or visit her on Instagram or her website, thecarrotconcierge.com. Jody prides herself in providing personal service. She takes the extra steps to make sure your lady gets exactly what she wants. And because she doesn't have the overhead of a storefront, she often can get the highest quality inventory at the lowest possible prices, as much as 30% less than what you expect to see at a jewelry store. If you're looking for something special, birthdays, anniversaries, of course, you got Christmas right around the corner. Jody has a variety of tennis bracelets, rings, necklaces, and more, all beautiful jewelry, all personalized for you and yours. Check out thecarrotconcierge.com, visit our website, or give her a call today. You can text her, or she'll take care of you, and you can take care of that very special person in your life, thecarrotconcierge.com. Thank you very much to Jody and her team. Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate the wisdom and the knowledge. Always have a great time and always learn a lot. I'm a smarter football theorist because of you. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's a real MVP. And thanks to you all out there for watching and for listening. And until next time, Longhorns.